I'll be facilitating our discussion today. So as I said, the webinar is on resourcing communities. So this webinar came out of, the impetus for it came out of our policy platform, which we released last month, Resourcing Communities, Investing in Youth for Justice Transformation. During the summer of 2023, so last summer, we convened focus groups of young people that were aged 19 to 29 to answer the question, what does it look like to truly invest in youth? Some of those focus groups were at our forum last summer in Los Angeles, which some of you might have been at, and there's a picture on the slide of a group of young people there. We also did some by Zoom. And throughout these conversations, we developed the following recommendation, which is in our platform. States and localities must invest in youth by giving communities the resources they need for young people to flourish, partnering with and empowering young people to reimagine holistic models of care that no longer rely on punitive carceral systems, and creating the infrastructure to support the reimagined models of care. So this slide is also in the platform, and it's a profile of justice-involved youth in DC from the DC Criminal Justice Coordinating Council, but I think it exemplifies, the problems we see throughout the country. And as you can see from, comparing the differences between the non-justice involved and the justice involved youth, we can see that when there's a crucial connection, right, between investing in services that help families, that keep them housed, that provide healthcare and mental health care, and reducing youth justice involvement. So what works to support young people and create safety, research consistently shows us that that's investing in youth to improve their well-being. It strengthens their community. It reduces justice involvement. And when our communities are safe, what does that look like? It looks like young people having abundant resources for their leadership, self-expression and empowerment, for their health, safety, and healing, for families, communities, and healthy connections, and for quality education and opportunities. So that's what we're going to get into discussing today with our fantastic group of young leaders. I'm going to let them further introduce themselves, but just to let you know who's here, it's Agustin Herrera from Los Angeles, Arts for Healing and Justice Network, Alessandra Chavira with the Lived Experience Advocacy Fellowship, or LEAF, at the National Center for Youth Law, Tayz Enriquez Banuelos, also with LEAF, Metcalf with Progeny in Kansas, and Dante Bristow, also with Progeny in Kansas. So let me stop sharing my screen here. Great. And I'm going to, there we go, call on the young youth advocates to introduce themselves a little further. So let's see, I see, just go in the order I see in my screen. Alessandra, if you want to introduce yourself.
Thank you. My name is Alessandra Chavira. I'm born and raised in Denver. My parents come from Juarez, and I'm a LEAF fellow. I do a lot of advocacy work centered around youth justice, and I'm happy to be here.
Great, thank you. Let's see, next I see Tayz.
Hello, everybody. My name is Tayz Enriquez Banuelos. I'm also located in Colorado. I was raised in a small rural area in Greeley. I'm also a LEAF advocate fellow. I've worked with them since 2021, so I've kind of been trucking along, doing different partnerships with them around youth justice specifically. And yeah, I'm also happy to be here.
How y'all doing? I'm Adonijah Metcalf from Wichita, Kansas, born and raised. I grew up on the north side. I kind of got into this work through situations with law enforcement, kind of forcing you to, grow up kind of faster than you would like. So I'm super dedicated in this work as far as like getting us rehabilitated properly. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I'm passionate about how we go about this.
Great, thank you. Let's see, Augustin, if you want to go next.
Yes, hello everybody. Yeah, my fault. I was hoping the lighting wouldn't be that bad, but it is. But hello everybody. My name is Augustine. I'm a youth over here at well, I work here at ASM, but I'm a youth over here at Los Angeles, California, and I was formerly incarcerated. Just really passionate about the work we do here and just really like want to be able to give the youth that are upbringing in my community just a better chance than what I have. So yeah, that's kind of why I'm here today.
Augustine. And I don't see Dante yet, so hopefully he'll be able to join soon. So we'll go ahead and get started. The idea is to go through some questions that I have and have a discussion with the youth advocates that we have here today. And again, if you have questions, put them in the chat or do the hand raise button, and if we have time, we'll be happy to call on you. So the first question is for Tayz, and it's about what you think would be most helpful for making investments in youth leadership, self-expression, and empowerment. And these are things like youth development and leadership programs or whatever you feel would be helpful.
So the biggest thing I would say is just how sustainable it is. As someone who grew up in like a rural area with a very huge lack of resources and not a lot of programming or anything like that, there was a lot of smaller programs provided through the public educational system, but they weren't sustainable. They provided very minimal support for a very short amount of time, which was like impactful, but then once that support was gone because they were going through the next batch of kids, it does implement a really big negative impact on young people. So I would say it's just having like something real sustainable, where they have support even after completing a program. So making sure that it's really rooted in like community, and like community-based networks, so that they have continuous support and guidance. Proper compensation if they're going to be doing X amount of work would be huge, especially for like our older youth who are like transitioning from schooling to like real adult life. And then I would say like LEAF has been a program that I have done 2 times in a year, but have had their support even before I completed the program and even after, with the pathway to either like a job opportunity or career opportunity is important as well when you're building out programs with young people. Investing and empowering young people through education is important. So making sure you're equipped with like cultural programming, and like history-based education for people that they can relate to, what I would say would provide sustainability for them as well. I currently partner with a high school, and so within like our civic engagement programming, having them being able to express themselves, whether it's through art or like writing, testimony when it comes down to policy involvement, and just providing them with the like tools and skills to do that. Often I think we don't adapt to the young people within our programming. So for example, like current young people have been impacted by COVID and technology. And so adapting to where they're at, meeting them where they're at, and providing engagement within that. So using technology so that they can actively learn and engage is important as well. And yeah, again, just having that peer-on-peer mentoring is important. So about building that relationship. So it starts with the relationship-centered programming. Often when I work with some of my young people, the first couple of weeks is just learning about each other, and then bringing in resources so that they can then teach their peers about it. So just creating kind of like a cycle where they're building together and not separately. The school that I work with works with about 150 students, so it's a very small school. Everybody kind of knows each other, and it's very family based as well. So we provide different resources. We try to engage our families as often as possible as well, so making sure that our families are included and they're being met. A lot of our students are just as impacted as well. So providing things like core advocacy and just, again, presence within the court is super important. Often our families can't be there. So being able to meet them, again, where they're at creates that sustainable relationship, not only with like the young person, but their families as well. And then the biggest thing that I would say that I see is most impactful is creating kind of just relationships with the families as well. So we do like family visits. We also have like family nights 3 times a year, and that's just where we create different have different resources, community resources come to engage with our students, or provide whatever is needed. So we have like different counseling programs and just like services. And then we just started doing a wellness night as well, which provides, we had like free massages and food and things like that, where our students can come and just practice different healing practices with their families alongside with their teachers that they see every day. And then the civic engagement portion is important because we don't often have people at the table when it comes down to policy that it's being directly impacted by them. So I think within this work, my work has always been policy related since I started with youth justice here in Colorado, as I was somebody who was directly impacted by the system at a really young age and became just as engaged. So I think one thing with investing in young people there is providing the environment for them to just explore their passions and strengths, and then they're able to adapt those into work within the advocacy realm, and also allows them to build like confidence and self-awareness to provide healthy self-expression is one thing that I've noticed as well within my work. I'm an artist, so I felt like that was like a really big thing for me when I was able to engage with policy through art advocacy. And so we have a lot of students that I've been able to watch build confidence, who like were afraid to speak or get involved. I think civic engagement also provides an opportunity for young people to become involved within their communities. Often when you give them, again, the knowledge and resources to learn about themselves or their history, or again, history that is real history, not history that's taught within our public education system, but giving them kind of like all the systemic his history within all of the systems, they often realize, again, that self-awareness. And so then I see them really create a avenue to get involved in the communities, which they didn't before. And then also just see them speak and use their voice and sometimes their experience as well. I'm not an advocate to be like, you have to tell your story in order to make change, because I don't think, I think that's a culture that has become real big in the advocacy realm, is like sharing your story and putting kind of personal information on the line in order to advocate, but I don't think it's necessary. It's giving the young people the option to choose to voice their story or not, but providing them with, like statistics and knowledge that they can also use to advocate, and not only advocate with their story. I think just having that relationship and peer-on-peer mentoring, again, building community within their family and places like school where they spend a lot of time, is the biggest way to sustain and invest in young people as like intentionally as possible, just because once they continue and transition to like young adulthood, it's important to have that support through community, through family, and also just like providing them with an environment that they feel like they belong to is really crucial as well. And yeah, I think that's all I kind of could say about investing.
Yeah, you have some fantastic ideas there, and clearly you've been doing a lot of work with young people. Is this in a public school setting? I wasn't sure when you said no. Okay.
No, it's a alternative high school.
Okay.
A lot of the students that go there get pushed out after being becoming just as impacted.
I see. Okay. Is it a public alternative high school or a
Mhm.
something private? Okay. That's great. And have you been working with young people there?
Yeah, for a year and a half now.
Yeah. Well, that sounds wonderful. I'm glad they have that opportunity for kids there. And you mentioned the LEAF program, and just briefly, that's like a 6-month fellowship with that's
Mhm.
set up by the National Center for Youth Law. Is that right?
Yeah, and it's a policy driven, so you can create like a policy initiative or any kind of advocacy project throughout your time. And it's mainly system impacted individuals, and they bring like community members, speakers to speak with us, whether it's organizations or just individuals with lived experience. And yeah, you build out a program and just have different like learning sessions about systematic historical things that basically drive, you know, the justice system now. So yeah, it's 6 months long.
Great. Well, thank you, Tayz. I'm gonna move on now to our next question, and that has to do with I'm going to direct this to Agustin. If you could talk about, what you think would be helpful in terms of investments in health, safety, and healing. So these could be things like restorative justice or mental health programs or whatever you think would be helpful.
Yeah. Well, I would like to say that, ASN is definitely a space where it's, healing and safety is like one big priority that we have because I feel like, I'm a fellow I guess participant you would say in our program and I'm now employed. That says a lot, from being, a fellow, just you just joining space, week from week to just now actually being a part of the work and actually, I guess putting my energy and my, experience and all my, I guess my effort to create a better space for the youth that I, used to share the space with because a lot of the youth that my fault, I'm sorry, my dog was calling for me. But make a better space for like, the youth that join the space, they deserve it because when I was going through, a lot of like just, dark times, I would mention that I was going through addiction here. It's a safe space, I would assume, but yeah, I had battled through addiction, and ASN was a space that provided rehab for me and made me rehabilitate, and they got me back and better like really like fast. They were the only people that actually believed in me, so I felt like safety right there was already a big thing because I felt like not only did they want to get me better, but they also wanted me to be in the right headspace before I enter the space with the other youth because I know that other youth may battle addiction and they don't speak on it. We don't always ask kind of what I'm sorry, I forgot how do you pronounce your name, but um she had just spoken on just that express having used to express their stories is like not necessary. Like I feel like that's a big thing too because I feel like we don't always need to target like target and ask you like oh what did you go through, what happened, because sometimes you don't want to talk about it. They just rather move forward and actually live in the moment and actually like heal in the moment instead of trying to heal past trauma because sometimes past trauma can't be healed anymore. So it's just like about moving forward and just moving forward with that. And you said safety, and what was the next one? I'm sorry, my fault. My dog just throws me off sometimes.
Oh, no problem. Health, safety, and healing.
Health, safety, and healing. So yeah,
Right.
like I mentioned, like the space over here, it feels like a family because like I help co-facilitate a space with another one of my coworkers that's actually in the space right now. His name is Julian, and another coworker named Lindsay, and they're both wonderful people. Both helped me, along my journey. But I co-facilitate a space with them, and it just, it feels like home every time I'm there. It just feels like I'm not held to a high regard. That I'm like, you know, I could feel like I can say what's on my mind and not have to worry about, oh, well, why don't you do this or why don't you do that? It's actually like they're listening to me and it feels like a family because I feel like whenever I bring any type of news to people, it's never good job or that's good. It's always like a question behind why you did what you did. And it's like I feel like with HN, they heal that part that I don't like about home or I don't like about friends or I don't like about, a significant other. Not saying that I have one. I'm just saying, that usually is the
Right.
problem that you gain when you tell people about your problems. And I feel like this space is just, something that provides, something for youth that actually feels welcome where they can, actually be themselves and then not have to worry about being made fun of it later. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, healing, safety, all of that, it's like really, really big here in HN. I feel like we also provide them, with like, transportation to get to our space. We don't leave them to wonder if they're gonna come, like on bus or if they're gonna have to walk through many different hoods because I'm sure many of you know LA is a very dangerous, gang territorial,
Mm-hmm.
place, in, the United States. So I feel like the fact that we provide a transportation to get them to our space and wherever they kind of truly need to be, we provide that and we make sure that they get there safely and get back home safely. We don't just make sure they get there safely. We make sure we get back home. Because that's just like that's to me, that's a big thing because I feel like not many of the staff will understand that that goes a long way. Because youth probably don't want to have to cross certain territories, don't want to have to cross by, certain houses or,
Mm-hmm.
be in a certain place at the wrong time, anything like that, and it's just like I'm glad to know that, our space, like really cares and deeply about the kids' safety, and we actually make sure that they're, safe when they're under our, like, watch and under our, supervision. So yeah.
Right.
I guess that's all I can really touch on right now, but I would say that the last thing I would say is that if you have anybody that's just like I guess struggling with feeling like they need to fit into a space, I would recommend you to send them to our space if they're here in the Los Angeles area because I I feel like me being formerly incarcerated, being formerly like because I was a mess up. I definitely didn't listen to nothing anybody told me when I was a youth. That let alone I would ever be in a space like this a couple years ago, and I feel like ACN really helped open my eyes to like really be open about spaces like this and really, pass down my experience, to help others. Because I never thought it would help people until I started seeing youth come up to me or text me and tell me, oh, thank you for that. That really helped me. I never really know what it felt like until, you see people actually crying off of words you're saying. And it's just crazy because then, you only see that type of stuff in church. You never think people are actually holding that much pain when coming to spaces like this. So when you speak and you say your words, I feel like you gotta like understand that there's probably someone in this meeting right now that's probably holding in a lot of pain and you're healing it at the same time. So it's not just the youth that we're healing, it's like each other, it's like I feel like that's what's big about Ish and like we don't just heal youth, it's like healing space for everybody, like I feel like the staff I love all my fellow coworkers. I can say that for, myself. I know a lot of people that go to work, that don't like their coworkers, don't like their boss. And that's a big thing, like that I feel like I could appreciate and I'm grateful to God for that. I know that I have other coworkers that have the same vision as me, to want to better, than my community. And, it's not just, I guess, just one or two, it's the whole staff. So it's like I'm grateful for that. But yeah, that's all I can say.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you, Augustine, and very powerful. Um, I love what you said about healing each other, and also about how you talked about addressing barriers. That's so important because you can have a great program, but if a young person has no way safe to get there, then it's not going to be of much, usefulness. So thank you for that. And I think Alessandra was also going to respond to this particular prompt. So again, it was about what you would recommend in terms of investments in health, safety, and healing.
Thank you. And thank you for the wisdom from Tayz and Agustin. Um, I'm I'm a firm believer in community. I think like in doing this work, we hear a lot of people from government agencies saying that the communities are failing us and that our communities aren't doing enough. But in reality, I truly believe that this work can't be done without community and it has to be rooted in community. So investments in the community programs that do this work, not government agencies, not diversion programs, not none of that. It needs to be from the people living in the community. So, and I say that because people in the community are people who understand the harms that have been going on in our communities. And when I say that, I mean like since the start of the country, like they understand and they've seen the gentrification in our cities. They've seen just the changes in our community that's the knowledge we need when we talk about our youth who need some extra support.
Right.
So yeah, I think investing in communities that create space for healing, whether that be ancestral healing or like the Western healing, like as in finding therapists and finding being diagnosed with something, I think both are very valid and both are needed. Um, but yeah, again, like there's there's a different type of power, a different type of element that happens when you connect these kids of color to their ancestral teachings.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, I mean, we've been disconnected since the start of this country. And for us to be able to reclaim and reignite this teaching that we are sacred, that we belong here, and um, that we deserve to have hope. You know, we're often like pushed out of schools, pushed out of public spaces, pushed out of like having any type of like joy, and that pushes us to do different types of things in the streets. But yeah, like I'm a firm believer of um just holding down the people who are doing this work already because it's been done. We're not the first communities who are dealing with violence. We're not the first communities that are dealing with grief. We're not this is like a generational issue, and I think that means we have to address what's been going on in the past, like through a historic lens, and also build. And that's where the intergenerational conversations come in, where we hold circles, where we bring youth into ceremonies, bring them into these different modalities of healing and connecting them with elders, connecting them with community members, connecting them with legislators who are willing to teach our young people what the routes of creating change actually takes. And yeah, even like connecting them to artists. Like I think the work that Tayz does is amazing because it it takes advocacy in the route that like we don't often like consider like change making, and that's also like part of reclamation is like we are our own healers. So just I'm big on conversations. I'm big on bringing grandmas into the table, bringing tias into the table, and also bringing young people as young as like elementary school babies, because we all feel it and we're all passed down curse and blessing that we have living in these communities. So yeah, I don't know if that answers the question. But
Definitely, that was very powerful also, and I appreciate your talking about all types of healing. Often we do just often think of Western healing, but as you said, there's can be deeper, more powerful healing through your own culture and through you know those connections with your families and your elders. So thank you, appreciate that. I'm going to move on to our next prompt. So this is about what recommendations you have for investments in family, community, and connection. And let's see, would either Nija or Dante like to respond to this?
Yeah, it's pronounced Niger.
Nija, I'm sorry, thank you.
I'm gonna start it off by saying, first off, I agree with what everybody before me has said. Um, it's a lot of truth, you know what I'm saying, behind their messages. I'm gonna also add that um, as far as with the family, the healing in the community, the group Progeny that I'm in right now is what is. I said this at the last panel. I'm gonna have to bring it to this situation. Progeny should be the replacement for all probation disciplinary, like the way that they police us and the way that they try to discipline us. We should have Progeny in place for that, so that we can do it ourselves. um Completely 100% community based, completely 100% rehabilitation based. It's gonna be like little punitive actions taken, because we all understand that the system we've been placed in is a system that you just can't win in, you know what I'm saying? And based on our circumstances and our environments and in our ability to access things will determine, you know what I'm saying, how our outcomes is. And we feel like they not giving us all that we, you know what I'm saying, is worth, or all that we be asking for, all that we need, you know what I'm saying, to actually be properly, you know what I'm saying, acclimated in this world as people. So I'm gonna say Progeny, like every single time when it comes to these conversations. Progeny has, for one, I was as an individual coming up in Wichita, Kansas on the north side. I'm 25 now. I gangbanged my whole life. Our city is one of those cities where it's like an on-site city. We don't really have blocks, locations, or areas that you're not supposed to be in. It's just wherever you at, just know. You know what I'm saying? You got to watch your back and stuff like that. So I'm coming up in places and locations where it's lack of food, lack of love, lack of attention, lack of proper mentorship, lack of proper education, lack of the right education. You know what I'm saying? We've been miseducated, misinformed on information and stuff like that. Um, just everything messed up. You know what I'm saying? So to be able to be introduced to a group like Progeny, which took me out to locations outside of my state, you know what I'm saying? And that's a major part in, as far as like growth. You got to be able to just know that it's a bigger world outside of the world that you live in right now. A lot of us don't know that because we on the block all day, 24/7. So it's just your norm. You know what I'm saying? You think this is your world, but in all reality, it's way more to be accomplished. It's way more to be done. It's way more to be handled. You know what I'm saying? We just don't have the resources to be able to do so. So groups like Progeny being able to take me out from my city, and I'm almost all 50 states in right now. I probably got like 10 more states left before I touched all 50. And I probably wouldn't have been able to do that if I went through Progeny. You know what I'm saying? So being able to up and leave your surrounding area to see what's going on outside the world, see how other people operate and move and function, knowing like, okay, hold on, this is possible. I can actually meet these individuals that's not government based, that's not punitive action based, and they'll actually put me in position to win. You know what I'm saying? We need a lot more of that. I think that as far as with the community healing process part, Progeny played a good role as far as actually teaching me what I needed to be taught in order to deal with the stuff that I'm going through. You know, like most people, they try to put you in a place and protect you and shield you from it, rather than giving you the tools and the necessary information to be able to actually, just face it, or to be able to, handle those situations and whatnot. Progeny taught me all of that. They taught me how to properly organize people in my community to be able to get the acts met. So like if we wanted to get something done, how do we present this prompt to the person that it needs to be presented to in order for us to be, properly compensated for it. So with the mentorship, we got the best mentors. My aunt, she's the one who had created the group. Like she's a genius to me, for real, because it's a Progeny is one part of a hub through Destination Innovation. Destination Innovation is it's a it's a group of um four different. Okay, so basically all the main things that affect Black and Brown communities in America today, Destination Innovation has created a hub where you learn all of these skills. So you have Progeny. We do I want to say civic engagement. We basically go and we talk to the lawmakers, the politicians, and we make sure that the youth are getting what they're asked met. So like if they have a proposal or anything like that, you know what I'm saying, we make sure that they get that met. We have Root the Power that teaches what is that? Root the Power teaches another. I forgot what Root the Power was. Wait, I think they do voter registration or something like that, to where they teach you, like, you know what I'm saying, your voters' rights, how to be able to, you know what I'm saying, register to vote, all of this, all of that good stuff right there in that little area. And then we have um Progeny, Root the Power. What's the other one? It's another one. So basically, it's like you getting equipped with everything that you're going to need to be able to wiggle through through the systems,
Right.
through the system's flaws. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to say something else, but I'm gonna just keep it PG. So through the system's flaws, and Progeny has been able to do that. You know what I'm saying? As well as Progeny being a place of like a safe place. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of individuals who um who need this this programming in their life, as far as the proper mentorship, as far as the proper healing, as far as actually tailoring to individuals. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of this need to be more individual based, because everybody is different. Ain't nobody the same. And the way that the system works is it's one big it's like it'll funnel people to into a cycle where if you don't break out the cycle, you're gonna be in it forever, basically. You know what I'm saying? So as far as like as far as like how I'm trying to say it, as far as like maintaining and keeping, because like, all right, so when you're young, you know how you got like a fire about you. You got this vision with, okay, I see myself doing this. I got, you know what I'm saying, like you in a dreamer's mindset. You know what I'm saying? Rather than when you're an adult, they strip all of that away from you. You know what I'm saying? They try to form you into like one person, like basically like, oh, this is an outline of how we want people to be, and if you don't fit it, then something wrong with you, basically. And that ain't how it's supposed to be, because it's more like everybody different. I'm not gonna have the same goals and ambitions you is. I don't have the same dreams and visions that other people do. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's got their own specific purpose that they're supposed to be living in. It's not supposed to be like, oh, it's everybody go work the same job and fall under the same unnecessary stress that be getting caused through just not being able to have. You know what I'm saying? Like the oppression with Progeny, they connect you with the resources that you're gonna need, the people that you're gonna need to be in contact with, as far as to be able to further yourself in education or whatever, purpose that you're supposed to be walking in. So
Right.
I definitely would say Progeny, because it helps you manage time. Well, it teaches you managing your time. Managing your time can increase your self-confidence and make you efficient. It teaches you how to have empathy, becoming more likable, relatable, more trustworthy, of people's emotions that so it's this is stuff that we need to be taught every day that they're not teaching in school. Like the basic stuff. Everybody got to live in a house one day. Don't nobody know how to build houses. That's crazy to me. How come it's not being taught in school? Everybody got to use a credit card one day. Don't nobody got to know how to use credit. Everybody got to read and write at one point in their life, but the education in the country right now is aimed above a fifth grade reading level. So little small minor stuff like that don't make sense that needs to be taken out and re-implemented with groups like Progeny. For sure, for sure. I'm all for it. I'm all with it. It teaches you positive self-talk. How many people do we know every day is telling themselves positive affirmations when they wake up, when they go to sleep, or just throughout their day, so that they can be able to, actually believe in what they're talking about. It's not a practice, practicing like being honest, embracing your weaknesses so that you can work on them and know what you need to improve. It's a part of self-love. You gotta have it. Teaching you how to dream, not only dream but act. You know what I'm saying? You got to dream, but more importantly, you got to move on it. You can't be sitting here with a dream and you done dreamt it, but you ain't do nothing with it. Now look at you just dreaming this whole time. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to be that person. You feel me? Because you're exhausting your energy and it's overwhelming trying to do that. Living in the present. I think somebody earlier said being more present and instead of trying to bring up past traumas. That's a fact. People don't want to trauma bond. Trauma bonding is weird. I don't want to have to tell my situation just for us to get along. You know what I'm saying? It's weird. How about we do something productive that I can use my trauma to fuel my energy towards, accomplishing whatever goal that we got. That's what need to be implemented for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Being consistent. There ain't enough schools teaching people even how to be consistent, how to break bad habits, how to be able to understand that great things take time. So if you want something that's going that's going to be that's going to be worth it, you know what I'm saying? You got to actually work towards it. It's not just going. You got to plant the seed, watch it, water it, watch it grow, water it again, watch it grow, stuff like that. And also how to have a stable mindset. Uh, your mind is your powerhouse. It's gonna control every action. So how to be able to control you. You know what I'm saying? You can't control everybody else in the world, but you can only control what you do. You know what I'm saying? So like how to be able to re-implement that into our everyday living. And for sure, get the actual history because right now they trying to make it to where you can't learn what's really going on so that you can just forever be a fool. And we're not going for that. You know what I'm saying? I feel like my generation is a generation who can look and understand all the rights and wrongs in the world and put a cease to it because a lot of it don't make sense. A lot of it's stupid, and a lot of it is unnecessary. You know what I'm saying? So we just wanna properly love, be loved, and live in peace. You know what I'm saying? But without the restraints or the policing or the government, managing every single thing that we doing, we can do that on our own. You feel me? So if they truly are, what I'm saying, with us, then it should be no problem allowing us to be able to all live in peaceful prospering, what I'm saying, environments.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really all I got. I don't want to ramble too much, but that's definitely something that I would like to see implemented and invested into more of. So invest in Progeny.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Nigel. I
You
love your idea of getting rid of probation, parole, and replacing it with groups like Progeny that really can help people and aren't just there for, punishments, which is not helpful. So thank you for that. And I love how you said that about learning how to dream and to act on your dreams too, which is really important. Um, and I'm going to go to our last prompt, which is I'll direct to you, Dante, which is if you have any ideas or what your ideas are for the best investments in education and opportunity for young people. These could be things like career, workforce, school-based programs, but also if you have other ideas for investments you'd prefer to talk about, that's fine too.
I think he had a technical difficulty.
Oh
Give
yeah,
me
I'm looking at him
a
same
second.
here. Okay.
Yeah, 1 second, I'll
Um,
say.
Okay, so I'll direct that question then to anybody else who'd like to answer, any of the other young youth advocates here. So it's about what do you recommend in terms of investments for education and workforce career opportunities?
I can touch a little bit on it. I would just say providing all options. I think this culture of like you have to go to college and you have to graduate in order to be successful is really detrimental to a lot of young people. As somebody too who only completed a 2-year college and didn't continue to like a 4-year college and things like that, I often see a lot of my like students and young people relate to like having success like a very specific way, and then how it negatively impacts them when they don't complete, again, going to college or this like very linear educational pathway that is very like promoted and like kind of just engraved in your brain since you're like really young in the public educational system. So just providing them again with like just all different pathways, options, mentorship, within like entrepreneurship or just like different avenues that they can go to,
Right.
that is not like linear is what I would say.
Right. Thank you. Yeah, that's very helpful. And I've heard also people talk about, some young people want to learn a trade, and there's a lot of good career options in doing that as well. So to kind of think outside the box a little bit. So we just have a few minutes. I see we have one question. I don't know if any of you could answer this. And the question was, what would be most helpful in recruiting youth to join a state SAG? So that's the state advisory group that advises the governor about youth justice issues. They also have a say in the money the state gets in to spend on youth justice and how that should be spent. And most of the advocates are adults, but youth voice is really critical, and often they have trouble recruiting young people to participate. So if anybody would like to respond on like what would be a good way to try to recruit young people to join this type of a advisory group. Nija?
All right, so you said they talk about the distribution of it, of
Yeah, that part of what they do is the state gets in a grant every year from the federal government to spend on youth justice programs. And
that's how you get them. No cap, that's how you get them. So like right now, we in a world where the youth are, they used to, well, how would you say that, materialistic things. I'm not gonna say all of them, but that's kind of like the norm nowadays. Back in my days, we was still wearing, like, our haircuts was different than a 12-year-old haircut now. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like the if you implement the fact that they got some say so over the distribution of wealth,
mm-hmm.
then they would, anything else after that they wouldn't really care to hear. They would just come. You know what I'm saying? They would be like, okay, I got some say so over where some money go. Let me try to be in that space or in that area.
Great, thank you.
I would say having some like structure a little bit. I'm actually in the process of joining the Colorado SAG. I still haven't made a
Great.
decision. I've been in the environment and in the meetings, but again, I'm the only person that looks like me, and it's a very different environment. So making sure how you create the environment, who is allowed in those spaces, and like I don't think it's our job to go in there and teach people. So it's important to, again, just create a safe space, and listening. I mean, it's a process to create all of those things. I understand that. But yeah, I think it's you can't just expect young people to like come into that space and be like, yeah, I'm on board without providing, you know, safety or some sort of like direction. Like many of us, you know, like me stepping into some of those meetings and spaces, it just feels really like if you guys don't know what you're doing, how am I gonna like help guide and things like that? So I think it's just important to be involved in community. So if you go and step into the community of like the, you know, of young people that you want to hear from, how do you expect them to go? So I think just again building and those relationships with community and like, you know, making sure like information is public and things like that, accessible. And again, making the process, just having a process. Like the onboarding process for me has just been really not structured at all. And so I don't really have trust in it either right now. So yeah, I think just I know it's part of the state, but maybe separating it a little bit more and stepping into the community, having it maybe like a 50-50 option, you know, like 50% of your time is in meetings to address different things, but the other is like being involved with community with other young people and speaking to folks to see where money needs to go and what these community needs, because you can't just sit in these meetings and talk about like numbers and statistics, yes, but what do these young people and communities really need? And you're not going to know unless you go and see for yourself and talk to them. So, and making sure that you're making it worth their time too. Like some of our meetings are from 9 in the morning till 12. And like the adults are like, we can't join your meetings because we have families and lives. Well, young people do too. Like young people are human as well. And so just being able to share that same space and bringing them to the table instead of having it separate, I would say would be huge. You're not going to keep young people in these spaces if you don't build alongside them.
Yeah, those are all great points. I was on a SAG quite a while ago, and we didn't do any of that, but it's definitely needed, you know, in the community, good onboarding, all those things. Thank you. And I know we're a little over, but Alessandra, I'd love to hear your thoughts, and then we'll close things out.
I just wanted to add that I think it's critical to the retention of having youth that they're not tokenized. If you're tokenizing, if you're just bringing in youth to like fulfill a requirement, it it's gonna show, and the youth are gonna feel it. And to prevent that, like a lot of the what Tayz just named is so important. The accessibility of the language, like especially in being in like legislative conversations, you have to invest in an adult or in a role for someone to be translating or reflecting about the meetings with those youth, because if they're just attending but they don't understand a word that went on in the entire meeting, then it's pointless, and that's not truly going to get the young people to engage actively and like authentically. So I think one, it comes with investing in their education, like bringing them up to speed on what the conversation is. And that's going to take time, that's going to take workshops. But if you're invested in having youth voice, you have to invest in their education on the topic so that way they can actively engage. And two, like having an adult or a peer to support them along the way and help, like, you know, clear any misconceptions or questions that come.
Right. Right. Those are all really great points and something I will take into account when I'm working with young people. I appreciate that. Well, I think we're out of time, but I really this was a wonderful discussion, and I want to thank all our youth advocates here today. It was really wonderful to have you here and appreciated all of your analysis and your thoughtful comments. And I think it will really provide everybody with a lot of food for thought. So thank you. And thank you to everybody that attended. I really appreciate it. And I will close this out. So thanks again. Take care, everybody.